Once again, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. Give big applause to amazing women in front of us. Thank you and have a seat. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, in this special occasion, to start the presentation session, let us listen to Minister of Cooperatives and Small Medium Enterprises of the Republic of Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Teten Masduki.
The Honorable Minister of Women Empowerment and Child Protection Republic of Indonesia, Sherpa G20 Indonesia, Governor of East Java, Chair W20 Indonesia, G20 delegates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome all delegates in Batu, Malang, and all participants who joining this event virtually. Celebrating the International Women's Day, I would like to sincerely congratulate all women in the world. Happy International Women's Day. This year, we have break the bias theme to show our awareness toward gender equality. Together, we can forge equality. In line with this, during the Indonesia G20 presidency, we expect to provide more opportunities for Indonesia SMEs, especially women SMEs, to recover together. 3 sub-themes have been addressed. Those are increasing the role of women entrepreneurs, the active involvement of SME in the green economy, and the acceleration of SMEs in the digital era. Based on data from Quadli in 2021, in the last year, the number of women lead business in Indonesia has increased by 114%, which is 62%. Of these womenpreneurs are between 40 to 59 years old. Women also play a major role in tackling the pandemic impact on society. For instance, in the last 2 years during the pandemic, around 10% of women have started a business in the healthcare sector, higher than men contribution which only 5%. Statistics also show that 62% of women own business made their business as main source of income. This means that their decision to start business are driven by economic need in order to increase household income. Indonesia, with more than 64 million SMEs, contribute to 60% of the national economy. 64% of these MSMEs are women. Therefore, empowering SMEs in Indonesia also means empowering a woman. Women are no longer placed as secondary or complementary player, but as core player in the sustainability of SME business. It is clear that the role of women as entrepreneur need to be mainstreamed through policy related to SMEs. I wish for a successful W20 Plenary main event, webinar and training. I hope this event would provide benefit to all participants and bring positive impact to womenpreneurs, women SMEs in G20 economies. Thank you, and I wish all participants a very enjoyable and productive meeting. Stay safe and healthy to all of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Teten. Mas Dugi, stay safe and stay healthy too, sir. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to the main plenary event on women-owned MSMEs, key to inclusive growth. The moderate this session is a special woman. So I would like to introduce you our special moderator, Mrs. Farah Diba Tenri Lemba.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to have you all right here in this ballroom of Batu, East Java, and also from Zoom. Thank you so much, delegates, for joining with us. Once again, welcome to the W20 Indonesia Presidency. We are at the main event, which are now in the second issue priority, as we have 4 priority issues, and now we are in our second priority. It is about women-owned MSMEs, key to inclusive growth. Before we begin, I would like to say thank you to the continued support to W20 Indonesia from Koani, from XL, from Sherpa G20, from the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, and all ministries, embassies, and not to forget the government of East Java, the government of Batu. Also the support from all W20 delegates, W20 strategic partner and advisory boards, and other engagement group, working group, last but not least, the media. Thank you so much. So as Pak Teten and all the opening speeches from Ibu Uli, from all the opening speeches, we have now very focused on the economic inclusion. And this year, actually, we are in a mission to influence high-level commitment on women's empowerment and gender equality agenda in G20, putting them at the center of global discussion in the pathway of economic recovery post-COVID-19, while also promoting sustainable development and investment to achieve inclusive growth. What are actually the major issues that women face in MSMEs? What is actually the role of women in MSMEs to achieve financial inclusion? How could women pass the obstacles and accelerate the MSMEs? Today, W20 has gathered the expert and best practices on financial inclusion and inclusive growth in women and its role in MSMEs. At the beginning of this session, I am pleased to have Emily Breza from Poverty Action Lab giving the presentation with the focus, the role of financial services for women-owned MSMEs inclusion in the formal economy. To Emily, the screen is yours.
Can I see my slides, please? Okay. Are the slides in the room?
Yes, the operator is.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Can you see your presentation, Emily?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Okay, thank you. That now I can. Thank you so much.
There you
So
go.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm here in 2 capacities. I'm a professor of economics at Harvard University, and I'm also the co-chair of the finance initiative at the Abdul Latif Jamil Poverty Action Lab. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I think one fact that we all are familiar with is that women do face access barriers and greater exclusion when it comes to financial inclusion and financial services. The Global Findex database, which has nationally representative data from over 100 countries, shows that there have been great strides made in getting individuals access to financial services over the past decade. However, there is a stubborn gender gap that persists. Now, we know that women might face disproportionate barriers to accessing financial services, including limited decision-making power, domestic responsibilities, financial literacy, and then maybe the products aren't necessarily designed with the needs and concerns of women in mind. Next slide, please. So one question then is, when we get access to women, both women workers and women SME owners, is that enough? And in several recent studies, including some work I've done, the answer seems to be no. In a project that I ran with Bangladeshi garment workers, we tried to roll out training and free bank or mobile money accounts. Just those types of interventions had limited impacts. However, adding a direct deposit feature to those accounts, getting individuals to engage more with those accounts, did seem to have bigger impacts, increasing account usage, savings, resilience to shocks, and it also made for savvier consumers, decreasing illicit fees. However, despite those promising results, some women are still left behind from interventions like this. We found smaller gains for those with low levels of control in their household and those with low prior financial experience. Next slide, please. And I think these results are broadly consistent with many studies involving female entrepreneurs. So across 8 different studies around the world, access to microfinance, savings groups, and business grants only has mixed and often limited impacts on business creation, employment, and income generation for women in particular. And in several cases, it appears that gender norms seem to moderate the impacts of these programs. Next slide, please. One particular study I'd like to dive into a little bit is one in India, where a microfinance institution tried to think about how to make their product more useful to customers. So in particular, they gave individuals a 1-month grace period at the beginning of the loan, ostensibly to allow them to take more risk and use the loan for more ambitious types of investments. Now, this worked quite well on average for the average household enterprise, but it increased men's business profits and had, on average, approximately 0 impact on women's business profits. In some follow-up work, the authors are trying to understand what's going on. Why do we see such different gendered impacts? And what they find is quite interesting. In households with one business, a men's business or a woman's business, the impacts are quite comparable. By tweaking the product, the profits of both types of businesses go up. However, the problem arises when there are competing interests within the household. In households that both have a male-owned and a female-owned business, the women's businesses have lower returns, and the financial resources are often directed to the husband's businesses instead. And similar results have been found in other contexts, including Sri Lanka and Ghana, in terms of cash grants. Next slide, please. So what does this teach us? Well, this teaches us that there's an access gap. Women do need access, but moreover, the products need to be designed to help women gain control of those resources and actually use them in their business for productive purposes. Next slide, please. So broadly speaking, there have been 3 approaches that have been shown to help on this second issue of control. So first, there have been a few recent exciting studies that suggest that distributing funds through mobile payments instead of cash, which is typically the status quo, have large improvements on women's enterprises. So in particular, in a study of Uganda, when women were given the loan disbursement simply through mobile money rather than in cash, they had more agency in how those resources were spent. And this translated into a big increase in profitability of those women-owned businesses, which is quite exciting. Similar results have been shown with women's mobility and unconditional cash transfers for a program in Niger. Second, giving women control through the features of those accounts, such as developing commitment savings accounts, is another interesting strategy. So if women have control over when and who can withdraw the money and what point in time in their bank accounts, that can give women increased household decision-making power, and that has been shown to be the case in the Philippines. Third, doing more to deposit wages or earnings directly into women's bank accounts that women have full control over has also been shown to lead to greater women's engagement, and also in the case of a low female labor force participation setting in rural India has actually increased women's work. And I think another quite interesting question is the extent to which financial service providers themselves can adjust their women interact with products by themselves hiring more women. And there are several very exciting research projects that are underway, and stay tuned for more on those. Next slide. So in general, this was a very whirlwind tour through some of the recent research, but JPAL does have a much longer piece on our website, and I'm giving the link here, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily. You are in a we give you 7 minutes, and you are doing 7 minutes. Thank you so much, Emily. And what we are highlighting from Emily's presentation is we as women has to have mobile payment there.
Recording stopped.
Saving accounts.
Recording in progress.
Women accounts holder. And the other one is depositing wages directly to women's bank account. Jadi ibu-ibu harus punya account masing-masing ya. Baik, kita berlanjut ke presenter berikutnya. We are continuing our presentation to Makala Krishnan. She is McKinsey Global Institute. I see. Oh, okay. So as we are waiting for Makala, yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, Makala, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. So I will give you another 7 minutes to present. Makala is from McKinsey Global Institute partner. She'll be giving explanation with the focus gender economic, digital, and financial inclusion and inclusive growth. To Makala, the screen is yours.
Okay. Great. Thank you, everyone. Great to be here and wishing you all a very happy International Women's Day. Can you all hear me all right?
Makala, can you see your presentation?
Yes, it just came up.
All right. There you go.
Great. Well, thank you all for having me, and wishing everyone a very happy International Women's Day. What I wanted to do today is to do a little bit of a tour of how COVID-19 has affected gender equality and the challenges that the current pandemic and our experiences in the current pandemic have posed disproportionately to women. So if we move to the next slide, let's first try and start to understand where we were even before the pandemic. So some analysis we've done at the McKinsey Global Institute has assessed indicators of gender equality. We've looked at gender equality in society that you see on the left, which is things like equality in unpaid care work, prevalence of child marriage, violence against women. We've also looked at measures of gender equality in work. This is things like whether men and women participate in the workforce, whether women are represented in leadership positions. So a very holistic view of the progress we've made globally on gender equality issues. We've used that then to create a score from 0 to 1. Think about 0 as absolute inequality, 1 as full equality. And what you see on these charts, both on the equality in society and the equality in work, is how much progress we've made. And two things stand out. Firstly, if you look at both dimensions, we're very far away from that 1 being at full parity. And between 2015 and 2019, the amount of increase in gender equality was very small. So we are also, the pace of change is very small. So not only before the pandemic were we struggling, we also were not really making progress at the rate that is needed. And then the pandemic hit, which had a disproportionate impact on women And you see an example of that on this slide here, where we've looked at labor force participation in